It's Wednesday, March 18, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Kenneth George has been sharing more details about Barbados's first 2 confirmed COVID-19 coronavirus cases. Speaking on state television last night, Dr. George revealed that the 2 females arrived on the island on Friday, March 13, aboard a JetBlue flight from the United States. Strongly denying that government had covered up the cases until the last minute, Dr. George said the 48-year-old visitor and 39-year-old Barbadian are now housed in separate locations, one at the isolation unit and the other at the Paragon facility in Christchurch.
They're not very ill at this point in time. Let me be clear. We have tried to indicate to the Barbadian public over and over that Barbados was never going to be excluded with the arrival of COVID. And I think that on our journey, what we did was we said to the public, we are going to improve our surveillance. However, that has shifted, and as we go to stage 1, we need to go to mitigation. So we would like the public to work with us through this difficult time. This is not the only time that Barbados has felt a public health difficulty. Let me reiterate that 80% of cases will have mild disease, and those cases will not be required to even interact with a healthcare facility. There's an additional 10% who will require more invasive monitoring, and then a 5% which will require, let's say, ventilatory support, etc.
Dr. George said local authorities are in the process of determining the specific airline flight on which the 2 arrived by use of contact tracing.
We have said that in this early phase, contact tracing is absolutely required. This is a methodical way where we try to go back into the person's history and see where the contacts were made. So that process has started. We have engaged the airlines. We have been extremely upfront. We have engaged the airlines to let them know what our thinking is, and they have agreed to work with us. So I think it is, with respect to contact tracing, yes, this will be a priority, and contact tracing is a very methodical and slow process.
Tourism officials have been reacting to government's decision to keep the country's borders open amid fears about the spread of the virus. Chairman of the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc., Sunil Chatrani, warned that while he was in favor of the borders staying open, authorities should be sensible in how they manage the movement of people coming in.
Look, we're a tourism destination. We can't be saying that we're shutting down everything and then still trying to encourage people. But we have to be we have to be sensible about how we do it, and I think we have to take all the necessary precautions. Everyone is talking about these large gatherings and closing them and stuff like that, but we're a small island, and as long as we do the right things at the ports, the airports and the seaports, and we have the mechanism to control this, I think we have to be sensible and continue business. This island is too small to start shutting off our borders completely. We're totally dependent on tourism. And when you think of the GDP contribution indirectly, it's quite significant. So we can't afford to shut it down.
Past chairman of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, Rosen Myers, said the decision has been made and officials will stand behind it, but measures must be followed.
What every good leader needs, basically, is good followers. So we will stand behind a decision to keep the borders open based on all of the discussion that has gone on. But if we say we are doing 24-hour monitoring, we have to trust that that is what is being done. That has not been the case until a decision obviously was taken recently. If your borders are open, you have to do everything to screen and test and check that the persons coming in who may be exhibiting some symptoms are dealt with in an expeditious manner.
Chairperson of the Barbados Port Inc., Senator Lisa Cummins, dismissed the notion that the island should stop incoming travel of non-nationals.
Leadership is hard, and you have to be able to hear concerns, legitimately respond to them, but you also have to be able to make difficult decisions. And this definitely, keeping a border open, keeping it closed, balancing public health considerations with economic considerations, keeping livelihoods going, protecting industries and businesses who are made up of people who are just as fearful. All of us are on the front line all of the time, and we're still feeling the same things. But at the end of all of this, those people who must stand in front of us have to be able to say, I led in the best way possible, balancing all of the multiple considerations. And I'm very confident that Prime Minister Motley is going to be able to stand up at the end of this and say just that. So the question of keeping a border open, I am fully persuaded that she is being guided by all of the various considerations and all of the stakeholders and all of the concerns, all of social media conversations. But at the end of the day, she is still the person to whom we will all ask, but why don't we have jobs yet?
Barbados is in a wait-and-see mode as some of its major airline partners continue to ground flights in a bid to stop the spread of the coronavirus. President of the Airline Association of Barbados, Oliver Haywood, said he has been speaking with the airlines from the United Kingdom, Canada, the United States, and the Caribbean, and responses have been favorable so far.
They have not seen the rate of cancellation that they were expecting at this time. They would probably see that into next week and week after. As it relates to JetBlue and an American, my discussions with the both managers this morning as well as into the night, it's waiting and seeing what is happening, but as the minister had said, they had committed to continue operating into Barbados. They said that they will be monitoring, obviously, the situation on a day-to-day basis, but they are satisfied with the booking levels, and they don't see any reason at this point to make any announcements as it relates to operating into Barbados.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Craft Center. Kick off the weekend this Friday from 4 p.m. to midnight with loads of food, drinks, and entertainment. Get ready for Crop Over with the Rhythm Roots Street Parade. Party like it's Kadooman Day on the street around Pelican Village with costume reveler, music, and more. It's Festive Friday. It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Village Center from 4 p.m. to midnight. Admission free.
Regionally, a High Court judge has granted an injunction against the Guyana Elections Commission, preventing it from carrying out a national recount of votes from the disputed March 2nd regional and general elections. Justice Franklin Holder said the injunction remains in effect pending a hearing on Friday, March 20th. The injunction, which was granted to a private citizen, among other things, restrains GCOM from setting aside or varying the declarations already made by the 10 electoral districts with any other documents or declarations until the hearing and determination of the judicial review of the application. And finally, more than 100 million people around the world are relying on life-saving support from the United Nations as the COVID-19 virus spreads. That's according to the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, which assured that its top priority was to ensure that everything possible is being done to provide such help to vulnerable people.
The coronavirus pandemic now has a foothold in more than 140 countries. Some of these are countries that are already in humanitarian crisis due to conflicts, natural disaster, and climate change. More than 100 million people rely on support from the United Nations humanitarian agencies. OCHA's top priority is to ensure that we do all we can to keep providing life-saving help for those people. The Emergency Relief Coordinator, Mark Lowcock, has already released $15 million from the United Nations Central Emergency Response Fund to help fund WHO and UNICEF's efforts to contain the virus in vulnerable countries.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.